What's a statistical fact that people commonly throw out while missing crucial context? How many children go missing per year in the US? It's pretty easy to find the number of children reported missing, around 330,000 in 2021, but really difficult to track down the number of children who were repeat disappearances, B, immediately found, C, run away, or D, some combination of the above. So the statistic just sounds like hundreds of thousands of kids fall into a black hole every year, which isn't the case. That the average lifespan a few hundred years ago was close to 40. That's heavily skewed by child mortality, and if you made it to 10, you were probably going to make it at least to 60. You're most likely to get in an accident near your home. Well, obviously that's where statistically most likely to be in terms of frequency. I wonder what the stats would be after adjusting for that. Population density. 99 of OMG, look at this map, and look where all the bad things are happening. Hot takes are just maps of where most people live. That half of all marriages end in divorce, which is technically true, but that's because people whom get divorced tend to marry multiple times and accrue multiple divorces, while around 75% of first marriages don't end in divorce. If there's a name for this phenomenon, let me know, because I see it a lot. Using a statistic backward to be misleading. A relatively apolitical example, 90 of all women millionaires made their fortune in MLMs. Nope, it's that of people who made $1 million in MLMs, 90 of them were women. I've seen it other places too. Another one floating around is that 75 of lesbian married couples divorce, when it's actually that of same-sex divorces, 75 are FF, in part because more FF couples marry to begin with. As a statistician pushes glasses up nose, 89 of statistical facts are thrown around without sufficient context. Me, 2024. Even in academics literature, statistics are used all the time to confirm a specific viewpoint hypothesis with complete disregard for how the information was collected, what it means, and how it relates to the real world. Phone surveys only include people who answer their phone when unknown numbers call. Mail surveys are only responded to by people conscientious enough to fill out the survey. Most surveys get such low response rates that calling it representative of the population is absolutely laughable. Self-report surveys are usually skewed by people giving answers they think the org giving the survey wants to hear. They always get mean mistaken for median. Election maps where 90 of the state is colored by one party to include vast areas of wilderness and unpopulated regions to skew the perception that their party is much more popular than the other, while conveniently ignoring the fact that most people live in densely populated areas. The everyone eats an average of 3 spiders a year factoid is actually false. The average person eats 2 spiders per year. Spiders Jorg, who lives in a cave and eats 10,000 spiders a day, is an outlier and should not have been counted. Pretty much all statistical facts. As a stats guy, the more you work with numbers, the more you realize the only person who really has a proper understanding of what they're showing is the person who did the study themselves. That women almost always get the kids in divorce. This is true, but that's because 90 of child custody cases are settled on outside of court, meaning the fathers aren't actually fighting for custody of the kids. When they do, they usually do get joint custody, so long as the father is a fit parent. I've heard a certain segment of people who like to cite crime statistics say there are more black men in prison than in college. You're comparing approximately a range of 4 to 5 years college to a lifetime prison. I'm doing X-Fad diet, keto, vegan, carnivore, extended fasting, OMAD, etc. and lost Y pounds in only Z weeks. Half of it was water muscle poop. Soon enough you're going straight back to your old habits. Urine is sterile, yeah, while it's still in your bladder. Once it hits your urethra, it's not fucking sterile anymore. Those election maps that make the US look like a sea of red, when most of that land is sparsely populated. The number of border encounters. It gets touted by the media all the time and people treat it like a measure of illegal border crossings, but it's not. For one thing, if you drop enforcement to 0, border encounters go to 0 too, while crossings go up. Similarly, if you have more effective enforcement, the number of encounters goes up. For another, researchers found that about half of all border encounters were with people who had attempted to cross before and were sent back. So it's reflective of the number of tries more than the number of people. Then there's the fact that it counts asylum seekers who are crossing entirely legally. In fact, the recent spike in border crossings is largely due to a spike in asylum seekers. But people treat it like the number itself means something, especially the change in it. But it's a measure of a combination of things, and you can't draw conclusions about any one of them from that number alone. Tons of people heard Kitty Genovese being killed, but nobody called 911 yeah, because 911 didn't exist in 1964. that medical errors are the third leading cause of death, especially when people use it as a doctor's bad card. I just want to add that it's making me cry that virtually none of these responses are providing any sources for their fact checks.